Number 1. Am I the asshole for canceling dinner and going home over something my boyfriend's dog did? Hi. I'll preface this by saying that I, 25F, have been seeing Michael, 31 meters, for a while now. He's a really funny, a bit too sarcastic though, guy, and we pretty much get along well. We've been dating for 4 months. Michael likes the food I cook and he wanted me to come to his house to cook him dinner and also meet his dog for the first time. I only saw him in pictures, videos. He's overprotective of him. I grabbed all I needed from the store and went over to his house. All went well. I met his dog, then we sat down to talk. Suddenly his dog started moving in a funny way. Michael was laughing while looking at me. I felt confused. I asked him what the dog was doing and Michael said that the dog was telling him about me. I was like, okay? And then he flat out said that the dog thought I was ugly. This shocked me completely. I looked at Michael and asked if he was serious. He started explaining that his dog is like that with some people and that I shouldn't get offended over an animal's behavior. I felt horrible because I, as a person, always struggled with self-esteem and am no stranger to the word ugly. My issue wasn't with the dog but with what Michael said. It's like he was indirectly giving his opinion about my looks and using his dog as an excuse. Long story short, we had an argument and I ended up canceling dinner and going home. Michael called several times, then when I picked up he was lashing out the entire time, saying that I overreacted and that I cannot blame him and punish him for something his dog did. He advised me to get rid of the toxic sensitivity thing and deal with whatever insecurity I have as soon as possible, because what happened will set the tone for our relationship and eventually our marriage later. I did respond later, which caused another argument. My sister said I messed things up with my stupidity and that I should have laughed it off, but for some reason I wasn't able to. Did I overreact here? Number 2. Am I the asshole for being vague about my job and embarrassing a guy I just met? Background: I, 20s F, am a doctor. I love my job, and enjoy talking about it to some extent. But very often people will go on and on about it. What is the most horrible thing you have seen? Can you look at my rash? Why were the doctors assholes to my grandmother when she was admitted for? It goes on. So usually when I meet people I don't expect to have a long relationship with, I am deliberately vague about what, do. DH is also a doctor, and he has a similar approach. So yesterday I was at a party at a friend's house and was talking with a guy I had never met. I will add that he was giving me a bad vibe, and I wasn't enjoying the conversation. He asked what I do for a living, and I told him both me and my DH work in the hospital. He joked and asked if we had a cliché doctor and nurse relationship. This rubs me the wrong way, and I replied, "What made you think my husband is a nurse?" in an overly friendly, sweet tone. He started mumbling, confused. And a few of the surrounding people laughed. He walked away angrily. Today he sent me a message calling me a BH for embarrassing him. AITA, or the BH? I was deliberately vague, and I could have just told him we are both doctors. But I hate the gender stereotype, and he was giving me a bad vibe. Update: apparently he was trying to get with this other woman. But she heard the story and accused him of being sexist, if the shoe fits, and therefore he struck out. Probably why he decided to call me a bitch. Number 3. Am I the asshole for letting my little brother get arrested for breaking and entering? I, 32M, just got married. I left my parents' keys to my home in case of emergency. I then left for my honeymoon. We went to Costa Rica and had a great time. However, there was one hiccup. My younger brother, 20, decided he wanted to have some private time with his girlfriend's best friend. He knows my parents would not be okay with it and never allow it in their house. His girlfriend is very nice and I thought that they were happy, but I guess he was thinking with the wrong head. He took the keys I left my parents and went to the house. He set off my alarm but didn't know the code. He tried calling my parents for it but didn't explain why he needed it, so they didn't tell him. He made a run for it but the neighbors had called the cops already. So long story short, he gets arrested. He shows them the keys and says he has permission to be there. But no alarm code. He finally gets my folks on the phone and says he was just trying to prank me and can they please come get him out of trouble. My parents want the full story. He admits why he was there. And they get pissed. They won't go to the cops. So when I finally got home he had been released because of the laws on first-time offenders and I assume because the cops knew he was going to catch heck from our folks. But he was still charged. He is mad at me for not telling him about the alarm. And for not responding to all his attempts to contact me on my honeymoon. I'm not sure what I could have done from there anyways. I did get him a lawyer and we got the charges dismissed. I am making him pay me back for the lawyer even though he says it's my fault. I laughed in his face. Am I the asshole? Number 4. Am I the asshole for publicly embarrassing my mother? I, 21 am going to flight school. It's expensive. My mother, 50F, is driving me to and from the lessons since I am not allowed to drive her new car. It's about a 10-minute drive each way. I have paid for all the materials and will be paying for each lesson on my own. My parents refuse to help financially despite the fact that they paid for my sister's entire first year of college, and are spending thousands on taking 4 cruises over the next 6 months. No biggie, it's their money. I just picked up another job and am splitting time. I'm bitter about it, but solved the problem myself. Last week, my mother told everyone at an event that she's working so hard because she has to pay for flight school. I corrected her in about this manner, what do you mean you're paying for flight school? I thought you were paying for all those cruises. She has refused to talk to me since that happened last week. She says that it embarrassed her as my mother and that driving me to the lessons means she's making a huge sacrifice as my parent. I found out yesterday, via my brother, that she announced on her social media that she was in financial crisis over how expensive my flight lessons are. I reactivated my deleted Facebook account purely to tell her, in the comments, to knock it off. I combated her announcement with "You aren't paying for anything regarding my flight lessons. Stop lying to your friends for your fake good mom credits. If anything, you should be openly saying that I'm paying for it like a mother who's actually proud of her daughter would probably do." She cried. Her and my father are calling me an asshole for embarrassing them, really just my mother at the family event and on her social media. Am I the asshole for embarrassing my mom at the event, and on social media? Should I have given her more credit as a parent and let her have this pride? Update to include, I have started to take public transport to lessons now, until I'm able to drive again. Number 5. Am I the asshole for signing with my friend after he cheated on his wife? My 27M friend, 24M, and his wife have been married for 3 years and have 2 small babies. Recently, another woman reached out to his wife to tell her that a few years back while they were living in separate states, he was in the military, they slept together. This has caused a great deal of havoc to their marriage and things have been super tense. However, the wife has been extremely toxic lately and although I understand she is hurt, she is taking advantage of this situation to get her way on everything. Most recently, she basically guilt-tripped my friend into buying an expensive cat because in her words she deserves it. They already have 5 other cats and 2 small babies, and not a lot of economic resources to add another expensive cat into the mix. My buddy agreed as a way to keep the peace. He's trying to save his marriage, but at what cost? She's doing whatever she wants, leaving him the kids to go out late, making him do extra work around the house even though he works a very physical job, and now the whole cat situation. I told my wife the situation and how I think she's being unreasonable, but my wife says that his wife is probably very hurt and isn't dealing well with all the emotions that come from finding out he cheated. As I said, I can empathize, but this is no excuse to treat my friend like dirt. There's a healthy and unhealthy way to deal with the situation, and she's choosing the unhealthy way to go about it and causing more damage. My wife is now mad at me. She said she will take the wife's side on everything and support her in whatever she needs. He's the one that messed up after all, and he needs to deal with the consequences of his actions. She says he should give her whatever she wants. But where do you even draw the line? When will he stop paying for a mistake from years ago? This has now created a rift between me and my wife. But vertical bar, don't think I'm being TA here for taking my friend's side. Look, I know what he did was awful, but two wrongs don't make a right, and she's just being spiteful and selfish, getting her way in everything she wants and guilting him into big decisions that will only hurt their family even more. Number 6. Am I the asshole for throwing my Phil out of my house after what he said about my son? My 29F husband, 30 meters, and have liked each other since we were 11 and 12 years old. We ended up having our son 11 meters, pretty early in life, but we managed, and I think we've done pretty well for ourselves considering it all. My Phil, 60 meters, has been staying with us since he and my Mill's divorce. She got the house and he's been having a hard time finding a place, so my husband offered up our guest room. He's not bad company, and my son really loves his granddad, so everything has been okay up until now. My son came home from school the other day looking kind of nervous and a little upset. He is a really sensitive kid and was worried about him starting middle school because I know how cruel kids can be. I thought that maybe he was being bullied or something like that, so I sat him down and asked him about it as soon as I noticed things weren't okay. What he actually ended up telling me was that he likes a boy in his class, and he was worried about telling me or his dad about it. I told him that his dad and I couldn't care less about who he likes and that all we want is for him to be happy. He ended up coming out to both of us later that night and asked for a rainbow flag to hang up in his room, so I went and got him one while he was at school the next day. My Phil saw me hanging the flag up on the back of my son's door and asked me what the hell vertical bar was doing. I told him that he had asked for the flag to be put in his room, and my Phil started going on a tangent about how his grandson isn't like that. He said a whole bunch of other BS too that was very offensive and downright mean, and basically started outright insulting my child, so I told him if he felt that way, he needed to grab his things and get the hell out of my house because I won't tolerate his bigotry, especially not when it's directed towards my child. He packed a bag and went to my Sil's house. She called my husband and told him I threw their dad out, so my husband came home and asked me what happened. I told him, and he said that his father is just from a different time, and while it isn't right of him to say those things about I was wrong to tell him to leave because he's family. My thing is, our son is our family too. He's our child and his safety and happiness should be our priority. What kind of parents would we be if we let someone who hates who he is, live in our home? I told my husband that if his father isn't willing to grow and change, then I don't want him coming anywhere near my house. And now my husband is mad at me. I don't think I overreacted here, but maybe I did. Was I wrong to throw him out? Number 7. Am I the asshole for kicking a girl out of our friend group? Alright Reddit. I've been getting so much shit for this that decided to get a judgment on here. I feel like I've seen a post similar to this before, but the judgment was split, so I guess we'll see. So I, 26M, have a long-standing friend group. Most of us having been friends since high school. This girl named Zoe, 25F, has been part of the group since college. We've hung out plenty of times. But I would describe our relationship as causal friends. We follow each other on social media and talk in the larger group, but never one-on-one hanging out. She is friends mostly with the GFs. But I had a low-key crush on her. Some of the women in the group know but have kept it to themselves for my sake. But last month, got kinda drunk. And messaged her late night about possibly hanging out. She messaged me back in the morning and said she would like to hang out more but just as friends. I told her, understood. But knew what that meant, so I never reached back out. So my parents own a bar. Typically I will bartend there on the weekends before I go out. My friend group are regulars at the bar. I will send out text about what specials we have that night and invite people to come. So I send out a big invite and include Zoe on it. She shows up and immediately starts talking to me. I was working, so I kinda just moved along. I charged her full price the whole night and she started complaining to the other girls about it, which ticked me off. Yes, sometimes I will give free stuff out to my friends. But it isn't all the time. Yes, I used to hook up Zoe a lot. But that was before she said we were friends. Then the second thing that happened was I invited a girl to come to the bar to pregame with us before we went out. Zoe sees me talking to this girl. Decembered to introduce herself come lately out of the blue. Then THCG2 start talking at the bar. And it slips out that me and _O used to be good friends till I asked her out. The girl I invited wasn't happy and I had to spend the next hour explaining that away. So the next time the group went out, I sent Zoe a text and told her to please not show up. She is more than welcome to meet us out later. But I didn't want to deal with her at my bar. Her friends showed up to the bar this weekend and asked me to talk. They said it was unfair to not invite Zoe, because now she feels isolated. Our whole friend group hangs out here. So banning her is essentially banning her from the group. I said everyone is free to pick a different bar to hang out at. And then they can invite whoever they want. But Zoe is weird and is causing issues. So it is her own fault. I've still been called an asshole. But my guys are on my side. Am I the asshole? Number 8. Am I the asshole for telling my friend that I won't comfort her anymore? My friend is very emotional, especially when her friends get upset at her for something she didn't mean to say, do. I hung out with her one day and she walked up to me crying because she said something to her friend that she didn't mean in a rude way. Her friend didn't understand she meant it nicely. I was comforting her and making sure she was okay, like I always do with her. Later, we met up with her other friend. They were staying the night together at my friend's house, and my friend asked if I wanted to come. I accepted and waited the next day for a text saying I can go. I didn't get a text at all. Then her friend texted me and sent videos of my friend talking rudely behind my back, calling me annoying, stupid, and also saying she doesn't want me being her friend. I got upset and texted her saying I won't comfort her anymore, or try to make her feel better if she doesn't appreciate me being her friend. She got mad at me and said that if she feels sad then she has the right to see me to comfort her. Am I the asshole for telling my friend that I won't comfort her anymore? Number 9. Am I the asshole for wanting to get lunch with my boyfriend's wife? 125F have been seeing my boyfriend, 27 meters, for the past couple months. He is currently going through an amicable divorce, or as amicable as it can get, and I've been there to help support in any way I can. His wife has expressed her want to meet me and I wholeheartedly agree and wish to get lunch to discuss how she's doing, the 2 kids she has with him, and to get an idea of her and the years she spent with him. But, the BF went off the walls with that idea. His opinion is that it's gossip and going behind his back to judge his character through his wife, and that I value her perspective more than his own, and that I don't respect him enough to let him come along for this lunch. I countered with that it's a necessary interaction and a needed connection as he'll be in consistent contact with her due to his kids, and that divorce is a difficult thing to go through. Am I the asshole for wanting to talk with his wife alone? Number 10. Am I the asshole for calling my GF gross? Hello Reddit. I am, 23M, and I have been with my GF Layla, 22F, for 6 months. Everything has been really great so far. But 2 days ago, I stayed for a few days with Layla in her apartment, which she shares with 2 roommates, all women. Also I have to note that Layla has long hair, almost down to her butt, but not quite. We both had 3 days off and her roommates went to go stay with their family for a week, I think they're sisters? Anyway, they gave us the okay for me to stay at their place for 3 days. Well, the second morning, Layla was called into work for just a couple of hours to help with something that her co-workers weren't trained for yet. Anyway, she went and then came back and took a shower. When she got out, I noticed that her hair was still dry and she didn't wash it. Forget something? I asked. She looked confused, so I told her that she didn't wash her hair. Layla just laughed and explained to me that she just washed her hair yesterday. Me, so? You aren't going to wash it today? Her, no? You aren't supposed to wash your hair every day. Me, says who? I wash my hair every day. Her, yeah, but you have very short hair. It's a known fact that washing your hair every day is not good for it. At this point I was very skeptical, as this sounds made up and just an excuse to be lazy. You would think, if you have longer hair, then that's more of a reason to wash it more often. So I asked her how often she washes her hair, and she said twice a week, at which point I told her that she was gross and she got very upset and locked herself in her room. She didn't come out for a long time, so I just left and went home. She hasn't answered my calls or spoken to me since. I asked my friends, and they seemed split. My sister and two of friends told me that I was the asshole, but two of my other friends said that I'm in the right, and it sounds weird that she doesn't wash her hair daily. So, am I the asshole? Number 11. Am I the asshole for making my 7-year-old go to Alcoholics Anonymous? 131F have an amazing son, almost 8, who is incredibly sweet, well-mannered and inquisitive. Although, I guess most parents think of their kids that way, I quit drinking about 2 months ago and have been adamant about doing the AA program correctly, 90 meetings in 90 days, sponsor, daily readings, therapy, etc. I really want to be a good mom and make up for my bad decisions when was drinking. I never harmed him or put him in danger, but I just wasn't present and am remorseful about my drinking past. The problem is that I'm a single mom who works full-time and I live in a small town. Because it's small, there aren't a lot of options in terms of AA meetings, so the only one I can really attend is the 5:30 based on my schedule and my son's. His father has him part-time, so on those days, I can attend meetings by myself, but on my days I have to bring my son. I don't have anyone to leave him with, and babysitting wouldn't work because nobody wants to babysit for just 1 hour, it doesn't financially make sense for them. So, I take my son to meetings. Naturally, he isn't too thrilled when I have to. Before you suggest I could do Zoom meetings, I really don't get anything out of them. I like the in-person connection and atmosphere. My ex, who has never taken my alcoholism seriously and has never actually attended an AA meeting, says I'm the asshole for exposing our child to that kind of atmosphere and those kinds of people. The truth is, those people are what have saved my life. They are so sweet and good with my son, and, while sometimes the subject matter can be a little adultish, we mostly talk about how to be better people and live a spiritually sound existence and to help our fellow man. I personally think it's good for my son to be surrounded by people that are trying to better themselves, and also to let him know at an early age the effects of alcoholism as it runs in my family, but maybe I'm TAing way off the mark and I'm doing more damage than good. I would just like outside opinions that aren't emotionally connected to the situation. Am I the asshole for taking my 7-year-old to AA meetings with some of the topics that are addressed? Edit. I super appreciate everyone's responses. It gave me a lot of insight. Admittedly, I didn't really think about how other members may feel about having a child there, was mostly thinking about the comfort of my son. I will say that the group is all old-timers that have years of sobriety and largely just talk about service work and how much better their lives are. But, as many have pointed out, the presence of a child may deter members from talking about serious subjects. So I'll either just give my kid headphones and a tablet to play with, something I usually hate doing, but I guess I'll just have to suck it up, or do Zoom meetings when I have him. Again, thank you for all of the input, even the PPL that were incredibly harsh with their verdict. Number 12. Am I the asshole for not reminding my son to shower, causing him to be humiliated? I'm posting this for my mom as she cannot write in English, but I told her about the sub and she wanted outside opinions. IF40s, have a son Mike, M15. He is a good kid except he has a bit of a video game issue. He will lose track of time very quickly and forget to do other things unless he is reminded multiple times, and even then he gets mad that he is being reminded. Example, he will forget the time I told him to come down and eat, and get mad if I call him more than once, but then comes down half an hour later and is mad that his food is cold. A while ago he was doing bad in school because he couldn't stop playing soon enough to be able to complete his homework by the end of the day, so we took away his console until he got his grades up. They've been fine ever since. One thing I had been dealing with for over a year now is the fact that he will forget to shower. We had an issue where he wouldn't stop playing to shower, or at least take a break to do so, and he would be making noise at 10 to 11 p.m. when he finally realized he hadn't yet. This was an issue for me as I have to wake up at 2 a.m. to get ready for work, and I would always be woken up since my room shares a wall with the bathroom. I then told him that he had until 9 p.m. to shower, no later than that. This wouldn't work either, and while he did shower before 9 3 or 4 times, he quickly went back to the same pattern. Keep in mind that I would remind him to shower multiple times throughout the day, starting as soon as he got home from school. Didn't work. So, about a few days ago Vertical Bar decided I was done. I wasn't going to remind him 10 times throughout the day and left him. He did not shower for 4-5 days in a row. He plays sports. He stunk. He still didn't shower. Yesterday was the 4th or 5th day without showering, and he came home from school very angry. He wouldn't speak to me in the car and was wearing a hoodie even though it's 100+ degrees here. He got home and immediately showered. Later in the day he blew up, yelling, "Why didn't anyone tell me I smelled bad?" He was very mad because apparently his friends had been acting weird, and the girl he has a crush told ended up being the one to tell him he smelled bad and offered him deodorant. He was extremely embarrassed and hasn't spoken to any of us after his angry speech he gave after school yesterday. I feel bad that he had to be embarrassed, but I didn't know what else to do. Am I the asshole? Should I have handled it a different way? Number 13. Am I the asshole for revealing a decade-old secret? My 26M friend, 24M, had his engagement party last night. At the party, his fiancée asked me and some other friends that have known him for years to tell her some stories from his teen years. I thought it would be funny to tell the story of the time he and I went joyriding in his dad's vintage car, very expensive, his pride and joy. At the time, this was obviously a huge secret. If his dad had found out, we would have been in serious trouble. But it was 10 years ago. Everyone found the story funny or charming except for my friend's dad. He asked me if I made the story up. When I said no, he got kind of grumpy for the rest of the night. My friend is now annoyed at me for telling this story. He said his dad is mad at him, so he, in turn, is mad at me. Maybe we have different family dynamics, but isn't there a statute of limitations on harmless teen pranks? This happened a decade ago. Things I did back then I tell my parents about now, they either find funny or disclose they secretly knew about all along. I admit we swore ourselves to secrecy at the time, but again, that was forever ago when we were dumb. Tina. Am I the asshole? Edit. I wanna share this with you guys because it's really funny. I texted my friend's dad and apologized about the car, saying it was completely my idea and exaggerated his role in the story to amuse his fiancée. His response? Only copy-paste can do it justice. Redacted, your actions have no bearing on how I feel about the event. I am disappointed in my son because I have always expected great things from him. They've never had expectations for you, and so you cannot fail to meet them. You owe me $4 for gas. Fun guy. Number 14. AITA for forbidding my GF's best friend from our wedding? My 27M, GF, 29F, have been dating for a few years now and we're talking about marriage. Then I blurted out that I don't want her best friends to be in the event. I can compromise her being in the reception for food, but that's it. A bit of background. Ever since we started dating, my GF's best friend, who we will call B, have been talking shit about me. We all three hail in a small town, so in some way or another, we knew each other. When I was young, I've been known to be a bit of a Casanova in our town and just fuck around. But, ever since one breakup from my previous relationship, I've done some self-reflection and therapy to fix myself up. A few years after that, I met my GF whom I adore and love so much. I'm a changed man who tries to be better for every single day just so I can feel I deserve this woman in my life. Here comes B, who knew about all the things I've done. She kept on bringing up my past to talk shit in front of my GF. I have no prior grievances with this girl. See, I do strive to be better in all different aspects, but it doesn't mean I'll let go of my bad qualities. I'm a vengeful individual. I'm not above holding grudges. Another point that really irks me is that she kept on talking shit about me whilst proposing the idea that my GF talked to an ex-fling of my GF's that she apparently supports. She would say to my GF that, "You gave a chance to that guy, me, yet you can't give another chance to ex-fling." Well, I really find it disrespectful, so every time my GF brings up her name, I would badmouth B and call her names. Nothing degrading. Just like a child who complains about another who have slighted them. Now, my GF did call out this B's behavior towards our relationship and asked her to stop. And she did. Going back to the present, we were planning something intimate and we were talking about the guests. B's name came up and I blurted that she's not invited to our wedding. We argued and I reminded her of her past actions. I told her that she stopped, yes, in consideration of your feelings. Not mine. Also, my GF defended B and said that she was just being protective of her. And as far as I can remember, she hasn't even said sorry or even aware she is in the wrong. So, am I the asshole? Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.